Mr. Wong.
Good afternoon. I'm here representing Citizens for Better Transit. I'd like to start off with some facts. There's no doubt that trolley buses require higher capital investments than diesels or hybrids because of the infrastructure they use and because of the higher purchase price of the vehicles. But in terms of operating costs, other transit systems, such as Philadelphia, report they are similar to diesel or hybrid when trolleys are well managed. In fact, transit systems in the U.S. report to the American Public Transit Association that trolleys operate at lower costs than diesels due to high oil prices. The question is, why are the results of Edmonton's reports so out of line? Looking at the data the consultants used, we note that the kilometers of trolley use are underestimated by about half, and this loads the trolley cost. The work needed for capital upgrades to the overhead appears overestimated, and the trolley's life expectancy is underestimated. Vancouver projects 25 years for the exact same vehicle. The trolley cost is also loaded with a dedicated diesel backup fleet, something unheard of in the transit industry. The fact that the estimates for upgrading our overhead system went from $350,000 a year in the 2004 Booz Allen report to about $5 million a year in their 2008 report is indicative of a problem with these estimates. What other services to the city have seen such an increase in 4 years? If we really invested all of this money in the trolley network, the investment would last for at least 2 generations of trolleys. Standard accounting practice would be to write these investments off over a longer period than just 18 years. A lot of the trolley infrastructure we have is new and not worn out. These are new poles in just about every business revitalization zone and main corridor, for instance. The asset report says 70% of the infrastructure is in good to very good condition, so why does it all suddenly have to be replaced? A most striking thing is that the analyses are based on diesel prices that are already outdated. It is an incredible assumption that diesel fuel will average 76 to 82 cents a liter between 2010 and 2027, when energy experts are projecting $400 a barrel by 2018. Dr. Gilbert here said today the price was even unpredictable, so it could go even higher than that. Electricity shows nowhere near this kind of increase. Every time we get into a debate like this, the claim is made that we can save tax dollars. The big ticket item for local taxpayers and transit riders in the future is going to be fuel prices. Toronto is already talking about a fuel surcharge to cover high diesel costs. The capital expenditures for upgrading infrastructure can be funded by federal infrastructure money. We simply need to include trolleys as a priority. We always hear that Edmonton is unique, and it is. We own the power company, and for every dollar spent, dividends are returned to the city. Money from federal and provincial dollars paid to EPCOR can return money to the city that we otherwise would not have. If we scrap the trolley system and reduce these dividends, who will pick up the bill for the local programs that benefit from dividend dollars? Of course, it will be the local taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. Kevin Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee and council. I have the second part to this presentation for Citizens for Better Transit. We had looked at the trolley reports and I just wanted to point out several more items that we felt were of note. The trolley reports paint a glowing picture of hybrid buses being ordered everywhere. This is quite striking, but they overlook the fact that every city with trolley buses has replaced them with new accessible trolleys. In fact, in Philadelphia right now, the mayor is advocating an expansion of their 38-vehicle trolley fleet to return trolley buses to South Philadelphia. Why are cities sticking with trolleys? This is because hybrid buses are an upgrade to diesel buses, essentially, not an upgrade to trolley buses. They reduce emissions and improve on the fuel economy of diesel buses and are considered a transition to fully electric non-petroleum vehicles, as has been even stated by the TTC chair, Adam Giambroni. The trolley bus is a fully electric non-petroleum vehicle, so hybrid buses can be seen as a transition to trolley buses. In other words, replacing trolleys with hybrids is going backwards. Replacing trolleys with diesel-fueled buses is also a risk in a world of peak oil. According to the administrative report, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities requires the city to account for emissions from the electricity it uses. But what about the emissions from diesel and hybrid buses? CO2RE Edmonton tells us that Transit's annual greenhouse gas inventory has grown by over 7,000 tons since 1990, and this increase has nothing whatsoever to do with trolley buses. In fact, an article in the June 5th Edmonton Journal says that Transit got a failing grade on its sustainability card. Adding diesel or hybrid buses to our fleet, as in the 619 that are to be added in the next 18 years, according to a chart in the Booz Allen Hamilton report, does nothing to address this problem. In fact, with today's focus on sustainability, it could be viewed as irresponsible. The claim that hybrid buses offer the best emission reduction opportunity is clearly not correct. Electric vehicles are completely fuel flexible, which is a point Dr. Gilbert had made. In other words, they can use electricity from any source. This is one of their advantages, and there are various ways that green power could be purchased, like EPCOR's Envest program for commercial customers. They advertise that on their website. Even a private company like Bullfrog Power would gladly sell green energy to the city. We asked them, in fact, and they said it was cheap at about 2 cents more per kilowatt hour. The fact is that green power for trolleys would address the problem of Transit's growing greenhouse emissions by removing up to 4,600 tons of greenhouse emissions from the annual inventory. Perhaps even more if service levels on trolley routes were increased as recommended in the ridership growth strategy. Now, if the Federation of Canadian Municipalities did not believe that green power could do this, they would not have given Calgary Transit an award for their wind-powered LRT. The fact is, it would take 240 hybrid buses at a total purchase cost of $156 million to achieve the same reduction that could be had with only 47 trolleys if green power were purchased to run those trolleys. The present Booz Allen study uses emission projections for power plants that are 6 years out of date. They are from 2002. That's the most recent that CASA has. Dramatic reductions in power emissions happened with the opening of Genesee 3, and new power plants are much cleaner. Anyone who's followed the news lately knows that there are federal regulations mandating further power plant cleanup, which are imminent. When this happens, scrapping our electric trolley system will turn out to have been a mistake. Toronto regretted its trolley abandonment, and there is recent talk of putting trolleys back. Winnipeg twice tried to rebuild the system it scrapped in the early 1970s, and Booz Allen Hamilton, has been pointed out before, told Dayton, Ohio they would regret it if they scrapped their trolleybus system. As they grapple with the issues of oil depletion and sustainability, future generations of Edmontonians would most certainly regret a decision by this council to scrap our trolley system. We encourage you not to accept administration's recommendation and instead to renew the trolley fleet and take action on putting together plans for improving and expanding the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.